welcome back to another live stream. I'm Ryan from the Indie Music Academy. We're so lucky to have Wendy as our guest today. She is an artist development coach, and we're going to be asking her questions today and having an amazing discussion. While we're waiting for everyone to tune in, go ahead and drop in the chat where you're tuning in from, what type of artist you are. I always love making these things interactive. And we have Wendy here in the room. She's here with us now. I'm going to bring her on screen. Welcome, Wendy. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's so good to have this conversation with you, and I know that everyone's going to enjoy our time.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, let me give you a quick intro just in case you've never heard of Wendy before. Wendy has spent more than 20 years in the entertainment industry empowering recording artists such as Regina, Spektor, Sara, Bareilles, and she's taken a great big world, that amazing band that we all know, from their very first vocal session all the way to a Grammy. Wendy was also the co-writer of Dreams on Fire with AR Rahman for the Grammy award-winning soundtrack Slumdog Millionaire, one of the best movies ever. Wendy's a holistic artist coach, founder of the Parr method, where she helps artists develop their authentic voice. And we are so happy that you are here with us today, Wendy.
Thank you. Good. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, for everyone tuning in, we will take questions, and you can drop your comments in the chat as we go. I love making these things interactive. But Wendy, first and foremost, we're talking about artist branding today. We're talking about developing your artist voice. Give us the maybe 90-second introduction of what you believe, what we need to know about you, and let's just kick off this conversation. We're going to dive into a bunch of stuff, but what do we need to know about artist branding?
It really starts inside. It starts with you. Like, our world is so at us all the time, right? Like, literally, I can watch every movie right here, right now. Like, the world is coming at me all the time, at all of us. And so there's just a lot of noise. There's a lot of, I think there's more than ever the pressure of like, this is what's cool. This is what success looks like. This is what you're supposed to be. And that's always been there. But I think it's bigger. I think it's so much bigger now. I think the sense of judgment because of people, you know, trolling on Instagram and stuff, the sense of like, oh my God, what's going to be said, is just so high. Yeah. But all the work is actually about going inside. All the work is about remembering parts of yourself you put away because in adolescence you were told it wasn't cool, or you were told by someone in a mentorship or in the music world, well, that's not your lane, that's not your genre, or you would sound better, like your voice is designed for this kind of singing, that kind of stuff, right? So a lot of the work, well, all the work that I do with people, like the vocal work, when we get this instrument tuned up, your emotions just easily pour out. If you are artistically and heart connected and all you need is a little technique to feel more confident on stage, to be able to do the things you want to do, to sing the melodies you want to sing night after night, that's the easier part.
Yeah.
But putting them together where we have technique and my voice is opened up and expanded and I'm being true to myself and I'm bringing out all those wonderful, weird layers of me in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And when we can take all your wonderful weirdness and quirkiness and some of the things you hide and you think are like things you're embarrassed about or ashamed of, they become the things we love you for the most. And when you can layer them in a way and present them outwardly that this is me and it's congruent. So your social media and your music and your sound and your visuals all express, this is who I am. And we can say this about another artist. I'm going to say 3 words and you can guess the artist. And there's probably a few artists that might layer it in here, but I'm going to think of a contemporary artist. Okay. And I'm going to say like warrior, queer champion, which overlaps a little with the warrior part. Funny, like, yeah, humorous and funny. Let's start there.
All right, put your guesses in the chat.
Yeah, put some guesses in the chat. Warrior, queer icon. I'm gonna go right. Funny, and definitely empowering, like empowering of others. Even just like if I describe this, you're gonna put some guesses in the chat. I know that someone's gonna nail it like that. And I could do this on and on. I could do this again and again, and we would nail the person, right? We'd be like, that person. Oh, it's that. Oh, it's Pink. Oh, it's Bob Dylan. Oh, it's, I'm not gonna say who this is. Um, if we can do that about another artist, you need to know your 3 adjectives, your 5 adjectives. Everything that I do, it's under this umbrella of these qualities.
Yeah.
And it's not to narrow you. It actually will expand you instead of like, I'm a little this, I'm like all over the place, or I don't really know I am, I'm kind of this. It actually, by honing in, just like your songwriting, when your songwriting gets tighter and your voice becomes more clear, your audience actually broadens because we can relate to the specificity.
Yeah, that's so good. It like
Right?
sharpens your edge. Yeah.
Yeah, and you, the artist as well, will know like, I'm so confident in this choice. I know why I'm making these choices. And yes, it supports the message I want to put out there. And yes, this is who I am. And then we can keep evolving as an artist. Because, you know, you get married, you had a kid, you heartbreak, like some things are going to be like, oh, I want to say more of this now. My audience has grown up with me. I want to say more of this now, you know? But it's not that you're going to do a 180 and be someone else.
Yeah, that's awesome. We actually did get a guess in the chat.
Let's see. What is it?
Is Lil Nas X?
Yes, it is.
You're like, someone's gonna nail this. It's like, yep.
3 adjectives. That's all it took. And how, like, whether you know this consciously or unconsciously, he showed up at the Met Gala in a gold suit, a knight in shining armor. I'm on a quest. I am, like, literally, right? I am this hero. And then his next one was the hot pink crop top football uniform, which is also warrior. I'm here. I'm in a mission. I've got a battle. I'm a champion. It gets repeated because his truth is coming through again and again. So we got to know what your truth is. We got to explore your truth.
That's amazing. That's a great intro to, like, you went right to the heart of it. And that's what you call authentic branding. It's not trying to be something that you're told to be. It's discovering who you really are inside, right?
Yeah.
And so, okay, knowing that, every artist understands that we need to be doing that on social media, right? That's like the digital stage. It's one of the main platforms for discovery. It's direct to, you're communicating directly to your fans. And so what is the role that an artist needs to play on social media once they figure out what their 3 adjectives are?
So the thing is, like, so I have a whole process for this, right? Like I have a 6-month artist development program for this. And my mini course navigator will start asking you the questions to help you explore these adjectives and these ideas, right? One of them could literally be, if your friends made a dating profile for you, what would they say about you?
Yeah.
Some of, like, you're in there, right? They know you well. This is what they're going to highlight about you. So having those ideas is then looking at, like, for example, like what your message is. Like if you're a hero, what are you putting out there? What are you championing? What community are you speaking to or for? You know, and then your social media is to share that message as well. Like, so my music's going to share this message in my social media. Now, do I have a huge top social media? No. Am I a social media expert? No. So is there a formula and a way to, like, make things go viral and using certain trends? Absolutely. Sprinkle those in, do those where you can make them work for you, right?
Right.
But for the most part, it's like, who am I and what do I want to share with people and how do I want to share it? Well, let me find the way to do that in social media, and you'll keep tweaking it till it's like, oh, this way of doing it is, I'm getting a lot of good response, right? I'm getting the hits. So one thing I would think about is, like, if you're number one is, what is something you do all the time, every day, in your creativity or in your day? Like, what is the thing you do all the time, and what's the way that you can share that with people? So, and then find the way that it's not intrusive for you. So for example, if every day you're working out your voice, or every day you're sitting down to write some music, make some beats, okay, where can I station a camera that it's just easy to put on? It's already there. What part of this process do I want to share with people? Can I, do I want to bring them in at the beginning where, hey, this is where I'm coming up with an idea and I want to share with you how that happens? Or do I want to bring them in on the beats and show them my computer? You're doing this all the time anyway. So share your fun process with people. Which part of it? Obviously, some of that is very sacred. Some of that is, like, you don't want to feel intruded upon, right? Like, our lives and our creativity, it's all not for consumption. Absolutely. It is all not for sale. And so I think that finding like I can do this part and this much of it, or I do a little bit throughout this section and then we edit later. Finding a way that it's sharing what you want to share. So that's one. Like, and also like, what are some of your dreams and goals? Like, my dream would be to work with that person. Okay, how can you use social media to collaborate or interact with them in a way that might get their attention? I really want to work with this person. So I'm going to make a bunch of beats for that person and be like, yo, I made this for so-and-so, get on it, you know? Or, hey, literally one of my artists did that. He actually showed all these beats he wanted. He started developing beats, Louis Vuitton. And he did a bunch of stuff for the people that he wanted to collaborate with. And guess what? He's collaborated with all of them. At this point, he's done it with all of them because he really produces great music and material, and he used social as the way to share his process, show what he's doing, and connect with the people he wants to work with.
Yeah.
I have found a way to do a couple things. And again, I'm not an expert at this. Like, I'm still finding my way of doing it. But to me, I'm using the platform to do what I do, which is coach, inspire people, empower people, give tools. I spend about 4 hours once a month, and I shoot about 20 plus videos all in that time. And I have my categories, like, you know, talk about your adjectives. It's like, these are the things I want to cover in my social media. They think of it as categories, right? And so throughout the month, I'm just adding stuff to that. Like, oh, do a thing on this. Oh, let's talk about this. Oh, let's talk about this. And so on the day of that shoot, I just look at that list and here's a whole series I want to do on vowels or something for vocal technique. And here's a series I want to do about being on tour. And I shoot all of them in one sitting. Change my clothes, change the location. And then we spend the month just rolling them out online. That way I'm not living my daily life every day going, oh, I have to produce something today. What do I need to do today? And then throughout the month, of course, there's things I'm doing live that I'm sending to my stories, or, oh, let's capture this because we should throw it into the month. But that changed things for me. Like, organizing it. Otherwise, your whole life is on display and the pressure is on there. Like, and musicians, like, you're a musician. You want to spend your day making music. So the other thing I would say is I've had artists who are introverted and they're like, this feels intrusive and I'm not gregarious. I don't want to be on the camera talking to everybody. So here's an idea I had for one artist. You will come up with whatever ones you want, right? I have ideas I haven't even executed yet. Maybe I'll do them, right? Like, I drink tea all day long. And I was like, oh, I had this idea for a tea series where I, like, you know, just brew my tea, show the herb mix I'm going to make, and then mix it with a song. Or I haven't done that one, but it's there because I'm like, I've got to bring the tea in. It's like part of my daily life. How do I bring this thing I do and drink all day long? But you're introverted. Okay. Read a book on camera and then put the lyrics of your song in front of it, or put a quote from the book that inspired you, or say your thought for the morning. You don't think that there are like millions of introverts who'd be super down with hearing you just turn a page? like ASMR is super popular. You don't have to be gregarious for this thing. So it's finding like, oh, that would work for me. I could sit and hide behind a book, peek my eyes out maybe, but share something of why I love this book, share a quote from it. Again, do your thing. You could put your lyrics just on the screen to you reading a book. Like, you got to make it work for you.
Right. That's really good. Because all the time I find that artists love being in what I call like the artistic cave, right? They love just like songwriting, being in the studio, creating. And then when it's time to actually share it, they feel like they have to, you know, peek out into the sunlight and it's like, oh, it's so bright. Like, you know, oh, let's just retreat back into the cave. So this is really helpful. And yeah, it's just really encouraging that you don't have to pretend to be like maybe the artist that you see often on social media, but there are so many algorithms, there's so many different content formats to explore. And you're saying the best content format is the one that works long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Otherwise, burning out never accomplished much, right?
Oh my gosh, no, burning out never accomplishes anything. I'm gonna just share with people that we're live right now and let people know that we're doing this, and this is where they can tune in. Yeah, that's the whole point. Like burnout happens. Like we're so busy. The business can get us down or take so much precedent. I'm so busy in the business of my music because everyone's trying to have a full-time career. And when you have a full-time career, your business triples and your where you got to be gets bigger and the load gets bigger, right? And then the markers get higher and you're in a new room and you're climbing a new mountain all the time, which is exciting. But the business can take over.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't start this for the business. You started this to be in the creative flow. You started this because you have something to say. You have something because you started this because you just can't not do music, right? So being able to always come back to that, like no matter what I'm doing, oh, my business needs to, for me, my business needs to empower people. My business needs to build community. I want a community of artists that support each other, connect with each other, collaborate with each other. Oh, so I'm building that business. And every event I do is about interaction and connection, not just with me, but with the people in the space. Because I want to build family for people. I want to build a network for people. So, now when I'm doing something at a conference, I make sure that I connect. I make sure that I give people a chance to connect with each other. So I'm constantly doing that, right? So how do I do that here? How do I do that there? I'll say that out loud. If you join the Par Pack, I've got amazing plans coming up for this year. And the Artist Circle, we've got plans coming up for this year to make the community stronger, active, connected with each other. So because since that's my mission, I got to make sure, well, how do I weave that into this experience? How do I weave that into that experience?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're thinking the burnout happens, A, overworked, but B, when you are doing a lot of things that don't feed you.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that you're being fed. So in this moment, I'm fed by sharing. I'm fed by connecting. I'm fed by helping others be empowered. And so when you're making your music, when you're making your social media, it's like, oh, what matters to me that I'm bringing out here, so that I'm being excited by this experience as well, and not just grinding, not just giving.
Right. Yeah. That's so helpful. Something I wanted to ask you too, because we talked about, discovering the 3 adjectives that would describe you as an artist. We talked about, how to use that as almost like a compass for your social media posting, so that you can be authentic online. But what would you say to an artist who still has to kind of develop that vision, right? Maybe they're in a spot where they know that they love music, they know they want to do music, and it fills them up to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this dream to connect with others, but beyond that, maybe there are still a lot of question marks, and maybe there are parts of them that they're not sure if they want to access in their songwriting yet.
Yep.
Or maybe they're not sure if other people care about those parts of them yet.
Mm.
What would you say to someone who's maybe still developing that vision?
So we have to get more and more comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Like we get being vulnerable. Like my job is to help artists get comfortable being vulnerable. And so I was just sharing that, not being rude and being away. I was just sharing the live with everybody. Not like, who's she texting? Okay. Artistry is vulnerability. Songwriting is vulnerability. The beauty about songwriting is you can tell your secrets and your stories without spilling the plot. Like you can hide it in a metaphor. You can hide it in imagery. But your truth is in there. The emotional truth is there. You just don't have to say, this is what happened to me on that day, verbatim, right? You can, but you don't have to. And so similar, like social media, everything I think is about that as well, as like, well, what am I comfortable sharing, or how am I comfortable sharing this? I could do this part on stage and I can do this on my socials, but you're still giving those aspects of yourself in a way that makes sense to you. And again, I think also when we try it and we get feedback going, oh my gosh, I so connect to that. Oh, that gives me courage to do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I get more comfortable doing that. And some stuff, like I said, everything's not for consumption. You decide, like, this is my private life. This is not for the world. But I think we have to, it's like getting on stage. Like, you do it more and more and you're like, oh gosh, I feel at home here now and I can be free here and I can fun. Where the pain is actually, the pain is in not revealing yourself. If you're writing a song and you're hiding behind cliches, if you're writing a song and it's like clever lyrics, but it doesn't hurt or it doesn't, it's not going to resonate. It's not going to hit with the audience. So the success won't even be there. So no joy there. And then if you're writing music that is successful, but it doesn't really feel true to you, you're putting yourself out here like this. Your heart's back here, your heart and soul's back here, and they don't feel connected. The distance between these two things is where drug use and coping and pain exist. Because someone's going to come after you and say, oh my gosh, that song, I loved it. And you're like, great. It's not really me. Yeah. And so the disconnect is where the pain is, because you literally are being a creative artist in order to be seen for who you are and speak your truth. So put your truth in your lyric, put your truth in your outfit, put your truth everywhere and make it whatever artsy package you want it to be in. I want it in an R&B one. I want it R&B meets polka music. There's an audience for it if you do it cool, you know? Yeah. Because it's that heart-to-heart connection that you have with your audience is what's meaningful to you as an artist. So where can I instill my heart and soul in everything I'm doing? And then you feel good about what you're creating and you feel good about what you're sharing. And then if you feel good about it, the percentages that other people feel good about it will be higher.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
No, you first. You first.
I was just going to say, it takes 7 to 10 years to find your artistic voice as a painter, a filmmaker, anything. 7 to 10 years. Wow. I think it's a little longer right now because of social media, because people aren't playing out live as much, because there's less connection to the audience, because there's more external pressure and input this way. But that's the average, 7 to 10 years. So it doesn't mean you're not going to put music out that whole time. You do, but you keep, for example, why is the best new artist and the Grammys usually somebody's 4th record?
Wow.
It often is. It's because they found their voice, their sound, their style. And so looking at the music you really love and across the board and remembering music that you loved in your teen years and going, yeah, I loved heavy metal, but I really put it aside. And maybe it's not that you don't want to do heavy metal. Maybe you are doing this alt pop, but you're like, what aspects of heavy metal do I want in here? What sounds or what qualities about it can I bring into my lane? That's the secret sauce in my lane. And that comes straight out of my sound chart course. I have a course on this that's like literally, let's look at all the music you love. And then 3-step process helps you distill the actual elements of the music that you love. And then down at the bottom becomes a recipe on paper of this is my music and sound.
Yeah.
Like, these are the actual ingredients, from the lyric to the tone and the vocals to the instrumentation, arrangements. And now I'm going to take that to the studio and start to explore, is the dark in the synthesizer? Where is it in the vocal? Is the feminine in this? Like, where do these aspects come into play overall and in each song?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's like a reminder to be true to yourself. It's like
But again, if I say to this audience right now, be true to yourself, they're like, I think I am. I mean, I am, right? Like, it's like telling someone, let it go. How do you actually do that? So having like questions and processes that help you self-discover that's where I kick ass. So sound chart like literally helps you remember. Again, it'll help you remember things that you forgot you loved about music and or discover things you didn't even realize. So for example, that's the first time I made my own sound chart. I was shocked that I had only 2 hip hop songs because I love hip hop, and they were both Tupac. And one of them I remember is the Bruce Hornsby sampled song. So it's piano driven and it's sampled. And I was like, I can't believe like there's no hip hop on here because I love hip hop. I grew up on Snoop Dogg and Dre and I love M. Like what was all over my my playlist was gospel.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, the root of what I love is actually gospel music.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the polyrhythms, and it is the spiritual like connection and passion. It is the uplifting. It is the call and response. And I could list all these things that is actually in the root of the hip hop that I love is, and in the truth telling, right? The rallying. So I was like, oh, that's what I want in my music. So if I'm writing with other artists or for other artists, or I'm producing, and it makes sense, obviously, for them, there's a way for call and response to be in my stuff, whether it's the vocal to answering guitar, or in one record I did sitar. So there's space for like call and response within the musicality.
Mm-hmm.
Like gospel music has the lead going on top of a choir. Well, I may not always have a choir, but I'll often have background parts underneath that are giving me something other than the lead line, right? I call it my mama say, mama sa, mama kusa. Like I love that. I love that under something else, you know.
Yeah.
I love a good old fashioned gospel R&B outro.
Mm-hmm.
So if it makes sense, obviously, for what I'm working on, like those are some of the things I love to bring in. But you have to identify them.
Right.
You know, you got to identify the things that make you you. Today, you know, I don't know where I'm going with my hair yet. So I'm having kind of weird hair. So
Awesome.
I'm a hat person. So it's a hat, you know, if it's a good hair day, I'm like, I'm not wearing my hat. My hair's like fly today. But otherwise, I'm a hat person. I've got 3 here. I've got 8, 10 at home. Like pop on my hat. And there were times in my life where I had a hat collection and then I didn't, and I kind of hid that a little bit. I'm going to use the word hid, like, oh, or I shied away from it. And then, I got, we'll start collecting hats again. And then I hid it. And, you know, that's my own life process as well. Of like, I'm shining, or, oh, wait, I'm kind of hiding this part of me. I got to bring it out. And I'm like, no, you're back. You're a hat person. It's never changed. Let's rock them again. You know, it's like, I just continually empowering myself to be me as well, you know?
Yeah. It seems like you challenge artists to really think about themselves, because you know, all these questions are always flying around in content. You know, you blog like, I need to develop my artist brand. It's like, okay, just be true to yourself. You're like, okay, I think I am. You know, there's all these just like very, you know, quick checks that we do, and it never really gets under the surface. We never actually apply critical thinking to our musical sound or what we want to communicate, or even the way that we dress and the decisions that all are connected. And so, and it was fascinating what you said too about how the fourth album is on average the time where they win the new artist Grammy. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And so I would love to, I know that a couple of people in the chat wanted this as well. What is like in that like 10-year self-exploration timeline, what are the stages, or could there even be some identifiable stages in the beginning, middle, and end that we can maybe self-identify as far as how our voice is developing? Like what would a beginner need to focus on? And what's the goal that we're trying to reach?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, I'm looking at the chat, and I know people are asking for real examples. Hopefully I've given more. I'm going to keep going. So, and someone said when they listen back to their SoundCloud, it's like opening a diary. It's been 10 years. I legit cry, but I feel like no one will really see or understand. Okay. If it makes you cry, why wouldn't it make other people cry? Like, of course it will. Elevating your skills as a songwriter and producer, arranger, like getting the songs to be solid is part of the work that needs to get done. So it does translate to the audience, that it hits. Like a good song is a good song. But if this makes you cry, of course, like 7 billion people on this planet, lots of people are going to feel it with you. So, share that truth. So hi, Abigail. Okay. So I'm going to show you some things I learned about myself. I want everybody here, when you can look right now, but after this, go look in your closet, go look around your house, and I want you to look for colors. Now, a brand has colors, but if you're like, oh, what color am I? That's not where you're going to find it. You're going to find it in your clothing. You're going to find it in your house. You're going to look at things you love and are drawn to and be like, yeah, I have a certain color. Well, here I got these two colors. Like this color pops up. I got something from 10 years ago. This will be there. There's a particular blue that will pop up. I'm like, oh, there's that blue again. And I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you my space. And I learned this in the process of doing designing stuff, but I also learned this in the process of working with graphic designers and making my logos. So here's my camera. Oh, shoot, it's the other camera. Let me see if it'll change the camera for me because let me see if it'll work.
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so this is my Indian daybed, 1860s. I've always wanted one. It's in my studio. We get to chill here. Now I picked every fabric and I designed everything there. And then these are my rugs from Turkey. Nice. And that's Morocco right there. And what do you see? Like again and again, there's like a certain shade of red and there's deep blue. These are royal colors. Warm royal colors are me. When I work with my logo designer, I showed him this and I showed him other pictures. He's like, oh, you're warm. Yes. Cool and warm mean a lot for visuals. Also, textures. So in the making of this and in looking at films that I love Wes Anderson and Almodovar. Textures. Look at that texture, right? Although I'm going to bring it with you. It's a blue day. I'm wearing blues, shades of blue, and then down here you're gonna get just like my rugs.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna get some color and a little pop right there. And if I were to go outside, I'm gonna have this. Can't get more example than this, my friends. Here's my blue scarf and my black, which goes with everything I'm wearing. But what do I got? I got 6 more textures on this scarf.
Yeah.
And then I have a blue coat that I'm wearing that also has textures. It's corduroy and leather, and grab it if you want. But basically, what did I learn about myself? Okay. I learned that I love texture. And patterns and textures are super important to me. So it's here in my space. It's my outfit every day. I love monochromatic and I love textures. So when I dress, I'm like, it's a blue day. I'm going to wear mixed patterns of blue and I'm going to throw in another color for spice. And if it's a red day, it's the same thing. If it's literally I'm looking at monochromatic colors and mixes of textures. That's my recipe for getting dressed now. I love it. And it's not boring. It's like a formula for me to dress every day in a way that makes me feel good. And also is consistently, oh, that's Wendy. And then throw in a hat sometimes, right? So if you look around your house, you look around at your clothes, you're going to see color patterns. You're also going to see other patterns like, am I in warm colors, spring colors, autumn colors? Am I a pastel person? Are there plants everywhere? If there are plants everywhere, what is that saying about you? Oh my gosh, I need life and nature in what I do. So where's the nature in your music video? How does that? It doesn't mean everything's going to have a plant, but you need something organic and like that's a big wood thing. That's organic. If everything you have is like metal, ooh, I like what does it say? I like modern, minimalist. So how do I translate that into my logo or into my merch design? So this is very much about you expressing yourself and how do I bring these? When I made my website and I showed my graphic designer like pattern, and I know these words now. I like patterns and I like textures. My site is not flat. He built everything to have some texture behind it. So that you get that movement. I like that kind of movement. And if you look at just one thing from Navigator, for example, is looking at your childhood heroes. Who are your childhood heroes? Whoever comes to mind right now, write it down. Write it down. Okay?
Write it down in the chat.
Yeah, write it down in the chat. And then dive into it more later. So who is... And I'm going to go back to music, patterns. I love patterns. So when I'm producing or I'm creating music, there have to be multiple patterns. Like I said, there's a lead vocal and then there's a guitar part. I don't like noodling. I need a part I can sing. So the guitar is parts and that's its own texture. And then maybe there's another vocal texture. So I'm creating textures and patterns in music because I like them over there too. I'm the same person everywhere.
Yeah. This is
And
great.
so learning the language is really helpful when you
Mhm.
start finding out, oh, this is a thing I love. How do I bring it in here? So if we look at childhood heroes, Ryan, who are three of your childhood heroes? They could be real people. They could be, Mighty Mouse. They could be Superman.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, first one's a band, like, love the Eagles, love their music, grew up with them,
Awesome.
so that's one for sure.
Well, you're
Ah,
talking you're talking music.
music
I'm just talking a kid,
across
like
the board.
just yeah, no, not even music. Like outside of music, who are like
Mm.
some of your favorite book characters or TV
Oh,
characters
yeah.
or heroic, like my dad. You could say my dad was my hero, whoever it was.
Yeah, yeah, then definitely, it's gotta be Obi-Wan Kenobi for sure,
Mm.
you know?
We got Obi, we got Luke Skywalker, we got Michael Jordan. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what did you love about Obi?
Gosh, he's just so, centered, right? And he's Luke's guiding light, right? And then, of course, he sacrifices himself, so that Luke can, obviously go on his journey, right? So there's, like, a lot of noble elements, but
Beautiful.
and then he stays with Luke throughout too, even in spirit. I mean, love Star Wars, so
Awesome. So
yeah,
that's one, and I would say to look at 3 to 5, right?
yeah.
But right in there, could you say like, okay, the noble part, he's very centered. So it's finding those things in yourself as well. Like, how do I get centered? Could be some of it. Where's the nobility in my work?
Mhm.
Right? If it's in what I'm offering to my audience, if it's like there has to be, or is it in the character itself? Like, how am I presented in this music video? I want some nobility. That could literally be, I want to play a king in this part, or I want to play
Mhm.
something like an Obi-Wan. Like I want that kind of character in this music video. Um, so that nobility is really important actually. And you might find
Mhm.
it might show up in other places. It might be in the theme of your music message. Like
Mhm.
where's the sacrifice? I would say be aware, like don't sacrifice yourself for someone else's
Yeah.
life. Right?
Kinda
But
hard to make more music after that.
yeah, but maybe that could lead to a theme in a music video, could lead to a whole overarching theme for an album. Who's another hero?
Goodness, man, I'd have to think. Let's see. Man, a childhood hero, it would have to be probably, like, one of the Spy Kids also
Oh,
from that
amazing.
movie. Yeah,
Okay.
growing up, Robert Rodriguez, you
Okay.
know? I love that movie because Once Upon a Time in Mexico kind of turned into a kids movie. So just
Amazing.
like the jokes and the quirkiness and the gadgets and yeah, I think that's like a kind of that concept is something that I just gravitated to growing up too.
Okay, so the spy
Mm.
thing is like solving a mystery,
Yeah, it's
right?
it's it's like mystery, also like save the world, but also lots of jokes and lots of slapstick.
Okay, so we have commonality in both of those, right? Like there
Mhm.
is a save the world in both of those. There is a
Mhm.
ability to both of those. There's being of service in both of those. So you're like, okay, I've
Mm.
got overlapping. This is really important. And then this is wisdom and centeredness and sageness over here, like from the older character. Uh,
Mhm.
and then this one is humor and quirky and gadgety.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna add. Where's the gadget part? Like again, it's
Yeah.
just once these things are conscious, they'll start coming out consciously and unconsciously, right?
Hmm.
Maybe your gadget part is like, well, I use gadgets in building music, or you found a gadget to help lots of people build their fan base, right? Like I found a gadget to be of service. I found a gadget to solve the mystery. And then again, could that be storytelling in other ways?
Mhm.
It's just it's the who I am. So if someone were to, for example, bring you a music video idea and you listen to it and you go, that's cool, but
Mhm.
like I'm more about service and nobility. So how can we tweak this? Right?
Mhm.
Or if you present to them right from the beginning, these are a lot of the things that matter to me. They're not going to come up with an idea that's left field. They're going to come up with an idea that's like, oh, okay, I'm seeing you. Like
Mhm.
okay, I'm getting some ideas now, and they're going to match you,
Yeah. That's
right?
great.
Someone's talking about Michael Jordan. He would tell you before he told you anything else how many times he failed trying to do. what would he all know? How long it took? Yeah. Okay. So you're being inspired by Michael Jordan's risk taking and ability, and like knowing that everything's not a success. So that's super inspiring. And maybe that's part of the message you want to share, or maybe in your music or in your music video or in your social media, whatever. You're sharing like, hey, this was a total failure and what I learned from it. That could literally be a theme. And in fact, I know someone who literally started a podcast about how to failing. It's about he's interviewing Billy Mann. He's interviewing very successful people talking about their failures. So he turned that into a podcast, right? And now that maybe that is a big theme for you, and you're like, I want to share that. Maybe I make a social media, whole thing about that, or maybe that's part of my message. So one of the things you can look at, I'll share some of mine: Peter Pan, Superman, John Travolta in Grease, Encyclopedia Brown. Loved Encyclopedia Brown because I still watch like murder mystery things. Like I love justice, solving, catching the bad guys, solving the mystery. Like I love that, and a lot of it's about justice. But if I look at, and again, this is just on the surface, you're going to find stuff. Now go dig deeper into all of that, right? But Superman and John Travolta, the Fonz, these are all similar. And what was my first one? Oh, Peter Pan. So Peter's very magical. Flies, Superman flies, saving the world is involved there. Danny Zuko in Grease transforms from being the cool guy to being true to himself and allowing himself to be who he is until he transforms into his truth. So for me also, again, I used to have like this was buzzed and this is high. And essentially at one point in my life, I went, I want that haircut I've always wanted. It's kind of similar to yours, except mine's curly or wavy. But I was like, I want the haircut I've always wanted. It's basically a men's 1930s GQ haircut. Why am I not getting it? And I got it, and I put a red streak in my hair. And if I look at my heroes, they pretty much all have that haircut. Superman, Danny Zuko, and in the humidity, I get the elephant curl, like that grease curl. It just happens naturally. But I literally was like, oh my God, I love this. Abigail says, it's embarrassing. Yes, look at what you're embarrassed by, because your truth is in there. I grew up obsessed with Hannah Montana. Abigail, what are you obsessed with? What are the things you love about it? Because that's what you want to bring out in yourself. We admire parts of ourselves. The heroes that you love, inspiration is there to bring you out. So you asked about like if you're in the beginning stages, and we can use this at later stages too, but look at your inspiration. And what do I love about them? Okay, how can I lean into that quality more? How can I lean into the things I see that songwriter doing more? What do I love about their songwriting? How can I develop that and more in myself? I love the sophistication I love the risk taking of this person. Okay, I'm going to practice taking more risks. You are seeing parts of yourself. Nobody has something you don't. We're all the same human race. So it's funny. You thought of the Fonz. Go check out the Fonz. What do you love about him? You might find, I want that leather jacket. That's going to be my look. And I'm going to take that leather jacket and I'm not going to wear a 1950s one, but I'm going to wear this one and I'm going to put this on it and I'm going to make it yours. Like literally pull from the people you love. Is it the haircut? The Peter Pan pixie? I had that most of my life. Grew up with that one. Abigail says the fashion, the wigs, early 2000s clothes. Abigail, go get those clothes. Go find those wigs. Maybe you are just going to dress like it's early 2000 and that becomes your thing. And it might be your thing now. It might be forever. It might be for a minute. It might always be a part of it. And then as it evolves, but use your early inspiration to inspire your visuals and your look. You might find one of your, like maybe it's a movie. You go back and look at the posters. What do you love about the posters? There's something in there that can influence your next album cover. You're like, oh, I see this in a bunch of them. And you'll see common things.
That's amazing. It's everyone should check out Wendy's website for one. But for right now, everyone should also just open up a Google Doc and answer all of these questions. It doesn't have to be fancy, just bullet point them out. You
Yeah,
know,
journal it.
what you're talking about right now is everything that can inform your social media posts. A lot of artists have trouble. They're like, well, I don't know what to say in between songs. Or
You don't
I
have to
don't.
say anything. You actually
Yeah.
don't. You can
Yeah.
just play your music.
Yeah. Or well, on social media then, because we
Yeah.
all have this like there's like this feeling where it's like I just don't know what to do in addition to just playing the guitar, right? When I
Right.
have my phone, I know I
Right.
have to post something. I know I need to like be more than just, a songwriter, lyric writer, recording artist, right? In today's world.
Mhm.
But I just don't know how to access that part that's required of me,
Right.
which is creative also. I mean, as you demonstrated, there's like a creative element to all of that as well.
Mhm.
So everyone, get that Google Doc open.
Yeah, and you can, I mean, handwrite it, Google Doc it, also put it out. Like,
Yeah.
print stuff out and make a vision board and start seeing
Mm,
things that you walk by all every day. Like, make a space that inspires you, because if it's just on your computer, you're not gonna touch it all the time, right?
that's
But if
good.
it's if you're visually seeing it in front of you, if you're looking at it, you're ready, it's going to like just boop, 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 it's going to keep ticking off. Um, I always recommend looking at baby pictures and having one at your bedside and one on your phone. Like, look at pictures of little you, because that little you is you. And it's going to help you connect back to you and your own energy before,
Mm.
the world started, throwing stuff at you and made stuff weird, or things, whatever it is. But checking back to yourself.
Mm.
I think that the other place to look is outside your music. Like someone said, oh, I don't know what to say in between. Again, you don't have to say anything. But part of that can be decision making too. Like, if you think about any artist, someone who's been in the business for like 40 years, iconic people, you really only know a few things about them. They tell the same stories again and again.
Mhm.
They don't necessarily share their whole private life with you. So you
Mhm.
could think about, well, what do I want to say to people? What are the couple things the stories I do want to tell, and tell those stories and just repeat them like you do a lyric. Like, you don't have to say something new every single night. And then as you have some of those, it might grow and you add something else. Maybe you want to tell a little bit about your journey, or if you're on tour, there's a moment in the show where you just say something about the city you're in. I saw this cool thing today. Like, this was so cool to see in your city. I love that. Um, yeah, Peter Pan is one of my archetypes, like the enchanted child. Like, I will always, there's a part of me that will never grow up. Like, it's not the grow up part. I'm a very responsible adult. But one of my archetypes is the enchanted child. I see the wonder of the world. I have a utopian heart. That's part of, like, why do I love Peter Pan? It's me. And actually, by the way, I'm all things Peter. I am Wendy. Literally, my name is Wendy. I am Tinkerbell, the fairy. I am so connected to fairy world. I love the magic of the fairy world. I'm literally so short. Okay. I am Peter, who loves to fly. I'm one of the Lost Boys. Like, I actually played a Lost Boy in a high school production. And I literally grew up with a Nana dog. I had an Old English sheepdog growing up for like the first 15 years of my life. We had Old English sheepdogs. So yes, Wendy was created for Peter Pan. That name there didn't exist before. I am all things Peter Pan. But at the core of it is that enchanted child, and knowing, like, oh, that's one of my archetypes. Like, I can't escape myself. It's just who I am. I'm not trying to be that. It's literally who I am. So I'll give you I hated that I'm short and cute and my name is Wendy. I actually don't relate to the name Wendy. Wendy Parr as a whole name, yes. I introduced myself as Wendy Parr. Wendy by itself, I'm like, I don't feel like a Wendy. Like, it's weird. But the day I realized, and it was 1 a.m, and I was falling asleep, and I was adult, like I was like 31 or something. I say adult, I was 31. I wasn't an adult yet. um, but I was like, Wendy, you're short and you're cute. Can you just accept the fact that you're cute? Like, you're never going to be the ingenue. Like, I don't think of myself as beautiful. Like, 3 times in my life, maybe I've looked in the mirror and went, oh, you look beautiful. It's not my word. And that's okay. But I was like, you're cute. You've always been cute. Can you just embrace it and be it, and just embrace Wendy? And it's okay to be called Wendy. And I did. It was just like, yeah, just going to show up being me. I'm just going to like stop fighting that that's who you are, Wendy, you know? And it helped a ton, you know, change things instead of like, I don't want to be this, you know?
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's really
I mean,
important.
it's freeing at the
Yes.
end of the day, and that's what you're trying to help artists, or you're giving them permission to free themselves, really, and that's a
So
beautiful thing.
right here, can you see this little guy right here who's standing sideways, like his legs and arms are just facing this way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
This is a long story. I'll make incredibly short. I did not design this. The tattoo artist did.
Mhm.
And it is Moroccan Berber. And when she was doing, I designed all my other tattoos with this artist. She designed this one, and after she put it on me, I was literally in Morocco with my Berber friends. So she said, I was asking her, where is this inspired? And I went, it's Morocco. I was like, I'm going to be with my friends in Morocco next month.
Mhm.
So when I'm with, I asked Mo, what do the symbols mean? And he said, oh, that's a symbol for freedom. His arms and his legs are out, and he represents freedom. I've been drawing this guy my whole life.
Really?
I have drawings and paintings of this guy, and I didn't know why. And when he told me that, I was like, I literally am drawing him all the time, and it's the theme of my life. That is literally like my personal freedom, empowering others to be free, authenticity. Like I texted Danny, I was like, you literally tattooed me on me. And then there's another little animal there, and that animal is one of my animals. And I was like, she got me. I want to suggest one other thing, and I want to look outside of music for this.
Mhm.
What else do you love to do in life outside of music? What are your other hobbies or passions? If you had all the money in the world, you'd be doing that also. Because that can also be incorporated into your career, your life, and could be a match to your music in a way that you create something that is unique to you and your music that brings people in outside of the music world.
Mhm.
I love bringing people together. I love good food. So for me, it was creating a dinner party that connects people and having really good food and doing this kind of having an intimate conversation in a dinner setting.
Mhm.
Maybe you're an artist, or maybe it's maybe you like knitting. Okay, knit something for every one of your songs and let that be part of your merch. Can knit, like, how can you incorporate knitting? Maybe use your social media. Maybe you knit on social media and you talk about a song, like anything. Like, let it be whatever it is to you, you know. But if whatever it is outside of your music could become a part of what you're sharing with the world, incorporating in your entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
You know, maybe you make cute little knit things that become, like I said, maybe it becomes your merch. Um,
Yeah, I mean, that's a recipe for also just, like, viral content too, like ASMR knitting.
there you go.
Yeah.
One artist I work with does love cooking, and Alex Wong has done this beautiful blend now of dinner parties, because he was doing them separately. The dinners and his music were separate, and his latest thing is called his permission parties, and he's sharing his album, and for each song there's a course, a meal,
Yes.
and there's activism involved, and it's connected to his father and his grandfather who had a restaurant. So like
Mm.
the meaning is so deep, and he's, after all the years of making music and then separately doing these dinners that he started to do, he's putting them together, and he's created something that's a really amazing environment. And that's his album, that's his tour. His tour are these dinner parties mixed with his music, with activism, social purpose.
Mhm.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's so special and so unique. And now he has a cookbook.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It's just
And it didn't happen overnight. I'm talking, years of doing this and years of doing this, and then finding his own way
Mhm.
to put it together. And it all came together with him telling his truth more and more and more.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, everyone, before we go, I wanna give you a chance to get your questions in. We covered so much stuff. Wendy, thank you so much for bringing that wisdom
Ah,
and that permission, uh, inviting all of us to just be more honest with ourselves and to just open up those parts that maybe we closed off knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah.
And I think that permission is so important to hear from an outside source. So thank you for that today.
Such a pleasure. I hope that it's like really actionable. Like that's the whole point. Is like go like take these questions and go dig in them and go further with them. And again, like my navigator course, which is like a mini course, it will take you into this a little deeper. It's a taste of Compass, but there are more questions and more processes to help you there. I definitely recommend it. And we covered a little bit of some of that today, but it'll take you deeper.
Yes. If someone viewing wanted to learn more about you, check out your offerings, maybe even work with you if they want more of your help uncovering their true potential and their true artist identity, where should they go? What should they watch? What should they read? What should they buy?
Okay. Well, everything's at wendyparr.com.
Awesome.
My name.
Let's drop that in the chat.
Yeah, the pathway shows all the courses, and the navigator is in there. Perfect. So if you go to like check out the courses, it's all in there. All of the courses are things that I do one-on-one. So I coach one-on-one. I'm a vocal coach. I do technique. I do artistry. I go on tour with artists. Yes, and my Instagram is my name, Wendy Parr. So on my site, there's a work with me. You could click that and reach out if you want to do vocal training or whatever, get some feedback, do a consult. But all of my courses come directly from the work I've done over 20 years one-on-one with artists. So Navigator is a taste of the full artist development program, Compass. Blueprint is the first session I do with every artist. And it is a conversation about perfectionism, what's getting in your way in your head, and what you really love about music. So we can clear the stuff that's not serving you, and you can go forward trusting yourself more, listening to yourself more, building the vision you want. And literally every artist here had that session first. Sara Bareilles, I worked with her. We did that just before her Brave tour. She's already successful. Doesn't matter. We have this conversation first because we all have baggage. We all have stuff that's getting in our way. So that's a course now. It's available to everybody. Voice Maps. Voice Maps is all about your vocal style. It's all these vocal games that I play and ways to explore how to change things up, how to make a song my own, how to get out of my own habits. That's that course. Sound chart I talked about. It's to help you really distill your sound. The artist that I take through the process, Silvina Moreno, is on her 5th record. So she took Compass and Sound Chart before her 5th record. And she discovered things that made her 5th record very elevated, different, expanded.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point. Just expand and evolve. You don't want your best work behind you. You want to keep building and growing and not trying to repeat.
That's incredible. Yeah.
There we are. And the Parr Pack, you can find, there should be a link on my website, but the Parr Pack is in Facebook. It's a Facebook group. And we have a lot of things planned, like I said, for this year to really help bring community together to support one another. And we'll be doing like monthly lives as well.
Wonderful.
Cool.
All those links are in the chat. Definitely click it, open a tab. We have 2 minutes left. If you want to drop a final question for Wendy, drop it in the chat now. But otherwise, thank you so much, Wendy. It's so good getting your wisdom on this subject that honestly doesn't really get dug into very often properly. It's all this kind of like surface level motivational stuff that really means nothing. And I feel like today there really were some barriers broken down. Even for me, you've given me some things to think about that I haven't thought about in a while.
I'm so glad.
Really so thank you.
Jeffrey asked, what's the best way to stay true to yourself while not losing your creativity? I think that's the opposite. The more true you are to yourself, the more the creativity and imagination flows. It's when you're trying to fit in that you're shutting yourself down.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I started working when I was 8 years old as a performer and a songwriter and TV. I started working as a performer when I was 8. I stopped pursuing being a recording artist in my 20s when I started coaching and loving it, but I've never stopped songwriting. I've written for other people. I did the film Wonderland, and I did the soundtrack for that, all the original songs. I love songwriting, so storytelling is still always the thing I love to do.
Abigail has a good question.
Yeah. How can you provide value for your listener and not make your social media feel like a giant ad while also shining the spotlight on what you're doing musically? I think that I think it's finding like, what do I want to share? So let me find cool ways of sharing it. And your music's not going to be in all of it, but maybe sometimes it's the music's in the background while you're showing how a lot of people are doing like hair, I'll get dressed, but I mean, it could be anything. Like I said, I could be making a cup of tea and showing all the ingredients that I love to use and why I'm making this tea. And I could be playing a song that is inspiring that mood I'm in. Like, this is the mood I'm in. So I'm playing this song and having this tea, it's finding the way you want to share it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Last question from Jeff.
Well, I can't narrow my favorite artist down to one. First is I really love the people I work with. I'm so fortunate. Like, they're creative and fun, and I really do love the music making that my artists that I get to work with. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you 3 of my top favorite albums. Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder, Graceland by Paul Simon, and Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Yeah. Those are 3 of my favorite records. And there's a lot more that I love, but those are always in my top 3. The hat is from Peru.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to get Jimmy's in. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Wendy. And guys, thanks for tuning in. It's always so much fun to interact with you guys live, answer your questions. Let's everyone please just say thank you in the chat for Wendy. Let's show her some love. Thank you so much for being here, spending your valuable time with us today. I really appreciate it as well. So special thank you from me as well, Wendy.
Thanks for letting me share.
Of course. Everyone, tune in next time. Subscribe to the channel so you can get notified of our next live stream. Oh, and you have to hit the notification bell. Otherwise, you won't get notified. And we'll see you all next time we go live. Take care. Best of luck with your music. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye, everyone.